What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good, fans? Thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of the Voice of the Fans podcast. I'm still without my soundboard. I have it. I just Cleveland. I just haven't hooked it up. So shame on me for not getting it right. But if you can see, I got Betty Boop behind me. What you know about Betty Boop?
Very little, although it was a very big animated character back in the day, cartoon style.
Yeah. Clearly, I'm in somebody else's quarters because I don't have any Betty Boop on board. So, but fans, I want to thank you guys for tuning into the Voice of the Fans podcast. Cleveland, I don't have to ask you about the weather again today. I could look out and see it's a typical late September gray day in the Northwest. But how are you doing, my friend?
Can give us a little bit more credit. It's a little bit sunny, blue skies. Come on now.
Here we go.
67. You try to make it sound all doom and gloom. Come on, now looking out my window. What window are you looking at?
Come on, let me look. Okay. The sun may have crept through a cloud or two. It may have crept through, but yeah, I was outside earlier. It was a typical Northwest gray day, so it's what we deal with it. I will say, fans, if you haven't been to the Northwest, it's the freshest air you will ever breathe. The freshest air you will ever breathe. Okay, just want to make that clear. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning into the Voice of the Fans podcast. We got a lot to get into this week. Cleveland is trying to. We're going to get to it. We're going to talk about the NFL. Obviously, we got week 2 to talk about Cleveland. We got some stuff that was rather predictable. So occurrence, I would say. I'm going to try to keep my cool. I'm just say we got some things, fans, that were rather predictable happen this week in week 2, and that stretches all the way back to Thursday Night Football. This week, just a heads up, fans, you guys turn on the game. Let your wife or your significant other see that there's a game playing, and then say, "Baby, let's go to dinner. Let's go to the bar. Tonight's on me. Let's go out of the house." So it's a game that you shouldn't be interested in. The Jets are playing the Patriots, right? It's about a 3 on a scale of 1 to 10. So let your girl see that the game is on, and you just discounting the game because you want to spend time with her. That's a cool way to get you some points, because most of you guys ignoring. We got 20 more weeks of ignoring the wifey on Sunday. All that's not going to go well. But while there's a game on TV, let her see that there's a game on TV. Act like you're interested in the game, but then say, "I'd rather spend time with you." That's a cool way to get some points, Cleveland. I'm trying to give hints out here to get some cool points, because the game, Jets and the Patriots, whatever. That's one game, but we're gonna recount and recap some of the week 2 action. We're gonna talk about obviously we play a numbers game at the beginning of the show. We talk about the recap, and we look forward to week 3. Now Cleveland tried to he tried to kibosh the show with not actually getting our picks right. But nonetheless, I'm gonna bring him up. We're gonna talk about our picks for next week. He can't kibosh the show. That's probably because his picks aren't going that well. I mean, we're going to get down to that. His picks aren't going so good. Fantasy team is suspect, and so now he wants to kind of cannibalize the show and disrupt the proceedings. But because I'm number 1 on the fantasy football squad, that's not going to be able to be happening on the Voice of the Fans podcast. He can take that somewhere else, Cleveland. You know exactly what I'm talking about. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. We're also going to talk about we got some minor NBA conversations. Some interesting retirements just happened within the last couple of days. So we're going to talk about that. Some WNBA conversation that's keeping the summer going, Cleveland. And then we're going to have some baseball news. Fans, who's the best baseball player you guys have ever witnessed? Whoever seen? That you have ever seen, not that you read about in the history books, not that you see black and white videos. Who's the best baseball player that you guys have ever seen? And we're seeing him doing something historical. If you're honest with yourself, you're seeing this guy do something historical this year, and we're going to talk about that as well. Cleveland, real quick, jump into it right now. I know you watched it, so don't give me this. I didn't watch it. I don't know what you're talking about. But down 8. Why is the dude trying to steal home? Can you explain that real quick to the fans?
I've heard a lot of backlash about Victor Robles trying to steal home with the count being 3-0, but I don't think people really realize the jump that dude had. I mean, he wasn't really that far to go, and he just wanted to kind of create a spark, man. Like try and get something going.
Try to get something going.
He was literally halfway down the line when he took off.
Was he safe? Did he make it safe?
He was not. No, he was not.
So was he that slow? Was he that slow? He was halfway down the line.
Risk. Stealing home is a risk. It's hard to do, but he had an incredible jump. I'm not gonna beat him up about it.
Typical Mariner fans. Just let mediocrity run its course out there and have nothing to say about it. That's typical Mariner. And I talked to one Mariner fan who's on the way to the stadium today, on the way to Metro League Park today. He actually invited me. Come on, I'm not wasting my time out there, fans. I can't do it. If there's a free day, if somebody gives me a ticket, I might go up in the 300 deck and overlook Lake Union. I mean, it depends on the weather, of course. We're getting late in the season.
Just to be clear, Cameron, I know your bearings are a little off. You've been down there in Alabama a little bit too long. They don't have a lot of bodies of water for you to kind of figure out which is which, but it's Puget Sound that the stadium overlooks.
No, thank you for the correction. Oh, so you have spent your time looking over into over the third baseline over into the Puget Sound. You have spent some time doing that thing.
I spent some time doing that. Yes.
Yeah. Is that because the talent on the field or what's going on in the field is so crappy that you have to try to entertain yourself doing other stuff? Just to be clear.
No, it's just a majestic view. I mean, there are between innings and seventh inning stretches, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I have an opportunity to look out at Puget Sound. It's beautiful. The mountains on the other side. Yeah, it's quite scenic.
Yeah. Again, if somebody buys me, I might spend some time. I might spend about 15 minutes to just look at it and then and get out of there. I mean, I don't want to be. Cleveland said last week he don't want the stench of any Carolina Panthers on his team. I don't want the stench of any Seattle Mariner around me. Just get into that whole funk. I'm good. I'm good. Unless do they have Ivers? Do they have Ivers in the Metro Stadium?
Several.
Oh, well, there's another reason to get down there. So we're going to talk about. We got some Major League Baseball as they're heading towards the playoff race. And again, we got something historic going down there. What's good, Barry? How you doing, big dog? Thank you for tuning in. So we got some of that to talk about as well. We got some boxing that happened this weekend. Cleveland one guy quit. Somebody made another guy quit. So we're gonna get into that as well. Canelo fight. See what your thoughts are on that. We're gonna talk about Tennessee announcing that they're now charging fans for a player's fee. You're going to hear my feedback on that. There's a lot of uproar about that, but you're going to hear my feedback on that. So we got a lot to get to today. But first and foremost, fans, let's rewind the rewind to week 2 in the NFL. Well, no, not first and foremost. First and foremost is our numbers game, Cleveland, with it being September 28th, week 309 of the Voice of the Fans podcast. And shout out to you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for tuning in. Cleveland, when you think of the number 18, who comes to your mind first, or who would that jersey number the best?
Cam, I'm going to go with probably Caleb Williams coming to mind first, just because he's been a little sluggish, a little slow coming out the gates. Have
you even had a touchdown pass?
Who worked the best is Peyton
Manning. Fans, you see what I deal with, man. He could have said Charlie Joyner, Hall of Fame wide receiver. Jeff Jager, who went to school in Montlake. Cleveland don't know nothing about the school in Montlake. He didn't say him. He goes to Caleb Williams, who haven't even thrown a touchdown pass in 4 quarters or 8 quarters. It's been 8 quarters and no touchdown pass, Cleveland. Is that correct?
That's correct, Cameron.
And that's who comes to mind first. See what I'm talking about? Mediocrity, fans. When you think of number 9, Cleveland, who wore that jersey number the best, or who comes to your mind first?
Who comes to mind first would probably be Joe Burrow, just because of his struggles, early on in the season.
Oh, shots
Uh,
fired. Shots fired.
who wore that number the best? I believe Gordie Howe wore that number. I'm going to go with him.
Ted Williams, Roger Maris, Norm Johnson, Mr. Consistency, Rashard Lewis, Mr. All Around player. None of
Or at
those
least
guys.
didn't wear 9. See how you trying to throw stuff out there.
What number is Rashard Lewis wear?
I believe he wore number 7, didn't he?
Mm, mm. I thought it was number 9, but I have to go do some homework on that. Talking about go do some homework, Cleveland. Going back to Thursday, that um, massacre we saw happening in South Florida, where Buffalo Bills once again smack around the Miami Dolphins. If that wasn't bad enough, Tua Tagovailoa while running for the first down, runs into the forearm of a guy that was, as somebody said, was dead a couple years ago. Runs into this guy, falls to the ground, hits his head on the ground. How does a guy who I haven't seen this since Little League. It's in these Little League videos of people playing football that I see. This guy, the quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, runs into the defender, yet he falls backwards and hit his head on the ground. Hit his head the back of his head on the ground. Like, how does this happen? Concussed, staggers off the field. Head coach gives him a hug. Said he's the quarterback of his family. Um, he's subsequently put on IR, so he's done for the next 4 weeks. Cleveland, if you heard me say it once, you heard me say it 100 times in 2020. It's a guy I was not interested in drafting because of his fragility. Broken foot, high ankle sprain, broken wrist, broken hip, or dislocated hip, broken finger, all all behind the best money college football can buy. Then he comes to the pros. He gets three documented concussions within a 2 year span. I think it was less than 2 years actually. Two documented concussions in a 2 year span. And now Miami's stuck with the big bag and no quarterback. Um, Cleveland, I'm being as ginger as I can about this situation, but the Miami Dolphins, I don't cursed. Isn't it? I mean, can you be cursed because they haven't had a quality quarterback to everybody's point who want to give Tua some props. He is the best quarterback or the most. I don't want to. Can I say most effective? He put up the best numbers since Dan Marino that he has done. Okay, last year the first quarter. I'm sure it's the first quarterback to lead the league in passing since Dan Marino. That was 30 years ago. Can we use a curse word yet? Or I don't get it, man. I'm baffled, beleaguered, bewildered, and left at a loss of words because I don't understand. I wouldn't have gave him the money. I would have made him play another season. He was healthy. One of 4 seasons he was healthy a full season. That didn't command $212 million. That didn't. Show it to me again. And what do you say if they showed it? If you say show it to me again, he doesn't go 3 weeks without being concussed again. But yet the Miami Dolphins are left holding the bag with a brittle quarterback. So that's my first question to you, Cleveland, is I'm trying to approach this as gingerly as possible. What are your thoughts on uh Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins quarterback situation? And then I got a few more comments on this, as you might imagine.
Sure. Well, first and foremost, my thoughts and prayers go out to the Tua Tagovailoa family.
See, I wish I had my sound machine right now for this BS that Q
Very
Cleveland's about to
difficult
spew.
time that they're going through.
Oh my goodness gracious! It's not. It's sad. It is
This
sad.
type of situation is not easy to deal with. I mean, no one wants to get concussed over and over again, Cameron, for crying out loud. It's not like he did it on purpose. You act like he, went out, butt naked in a snowstorm and caught a cold. That's not how this happened, man. So unfortunately, once you have had a concussion, you're more susceptible to getting concussions. So anytime his head falls back on the turf, hopefully we don't see that type of situation again. But it looks like it's going to be somewhat traumatic. That being said, he's got the best doctors in the world, the best neurologists in the world working on him. I have complete total confidence that he will be back on the field as the Miami Dolphin quarterback by week 7 or week 8, at the very latest. So, and then once you have Tua out there, I mean, obviously the offense is much more efficient, much more prolific. So
It sure didn't look proficient or efficient, prolific or efficient against Buffalo Bills.
I still feel like there's a window of opportunity for the Dolphins to do some positive things.
You see, fans. You see how disingenuous this guy is? There's a window of opportunity.
That being said, the investment's already been made, so there's no turning back at this point. It's very similar to the Cleveland Browns and Deshaun Watson. I mean, they say certain things, but
oh my goodness,
all like money, there just is no turning back from that. So,
oh my goodness,
the Dolphins have committed to and invested in, and let's just wish the best for Tua. And I think that eventually he'll come around and be just fine and be back to the old Tua, I feel.
The old Tua that gave us completed
the old 17, Tua that led the league in passing last year.
That completed 17 passes
last year.
So not the one last Thursday that completed 17 passes for 145 yards and 3 interceptions. Not that guy. Is that the old Tua you're talking about? You're talking about somebody else.
I'm referring to the Tua that led the league in passing last year.
Again, his last outing was not prolific or efficient, and you try to throw out these analogies or these compliments. I mean, they're hollow compliments, Cleveland. They're hollow. They're really far hollow. To anybody that watched the show that knows you're just trying to antagonize and try to enrage my blood when you make comments like that. How much blame, Cleveland, should Greer, the GM, get for not having a legit backup quarterback behind Tua Tagovailoa, knowing his fragility and propensity for being injured?
Cameron, they had to pay a lot of people this last offseason. Your guy Tyreek Hill had to get his contract renegotiated. Jalen Waddle had to get his bag. Jalen Ramsey had to get his bag.
Another worthless contract.
Have to at some point, kind of decide where you're going to allocate the funds. And so backup quarterback was not one of the areas. I don't fault Greer for that. He's done a great job of making do with the situation at hand. I believe they went out and got Huntley. So, hey.
I mean, does Huntley scare you at all for Sunday in Sunday's game? If Huntley was named the starter for Sunday against the Seattle Seahawks, does Huntley have put any fear or fright into your bones?
Well, certainly Huntley's had a lot of career starts.
No, that's not what I answered. That's a yes or no question. Does Huntley put any fear or fright into your young defense? You have a young defense. Your defense even established. It's not even like you got Pro Bowlers or all pro guys on your defense. Does Huntley strike any fear in your hearts or minds of the Seattle Seahawks?
Well, Cameron, with all the offensive weapons at his disposal, well, certainly, I mean, if he's able to kind of reach his highest and best use of the
you see the disingenuousness of this guy? You guys see the disingenuous? He can't even. He refuses to answer my question.
Can't overlook any opponent in the NFL. They're all formidable.
Oh my
God!
See, I will have my sound machine next week hooked up because now you're just being comical. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to be comical right now about this situation. It's a sensitive situation for us Dolphin
And
fans.
Huntley's not even the quarterback. Skylar Thompson's the quarterback. So
What makes this situation even worse?
So why are you going all the way to the backup?
Which makes the situation even worse. I was asking you. You brought up Tyler Huntley. I didn't bring him up yet, but you brought him up as if we go cite Tyler Huntley, like the GM Greer is doing the best he can. Like, no, doing the best as he can is having a legitimate.
What else is out there? You don't like Ryan Tannehill. You've continuously expressed your disdain for Ryan Tannehill. You guys ran Josh Rosen out of there years ago. So I mean, where are you going to turn to?
I mean, I'm not the GM. Had I been the GM, the situation would have been a little bit different.
Okay,
because I wouldn't spend all this money on an injury prone quarterback.
Maybe trade a pick for Dobbs like the Vikings did last year to kind of bridge it over. I don't know.
I want to see. I say Mike McDaniel's on the clock. That's what I say right now. Mike McDaniel's on the clock. When we're looking at even with Tua in the game, when they're running the 2-minute offense, it was like there was no sense of urgency. They didn't want to get down there and score and put up points on the board. That was with Tua in the game. And once Tua went out of the game,
make no mistake about it. McDaniel's not on the clock.
McDaniel's is on the block.
There are other.
Let me explain to you. Let me explain to you why he's on the clock.
Please explain.
Let me explain to you why he's on the clock. Are you familiar with the Minnesota Vikings? Have you heard of that team up north? Okay. So Kevin O'Connell, I know you're not going to want to hear this, and you're not going to be able to you might be able to grasp it, but I know you don't want to hear it. Kevin O'Connell, you understand? Do you know what coaching tree he is from?
No, please continue.
Kevin McConnell was the offensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Rams when they won the Super Bowl in 2020. Are you familiar with that? So he won the Super Bowl. He won the Super Bowl with.
What coaching tree is McDaniel from?
Shanahan, who has yet to win the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Who has yet to win the Super Bowl. Kevin O'Connell actually coached in and won a Super Bowl. Okay, with
coordinator,
offensive coordinator.
Okay,
under Sean McVay.
Okay.
When he takes over, his quarterback goes down, his starting quarterback goes down, and nobody's thinking at the time, and I don't think a lot of people would say it today, although he put a lot of doubt in people's eyes when you look at Monday night's game and his ability to come back. Kirk Cousins, nobody would put a lot of stock in Kirk Cousins and say Kirk Cousins goes down. Hey, you can find several players to replace Kirk Cousins, but Kirk Cousins go down for the Minnesota Vikings. And it's like their whole ship collapsed. Okay, they had Dobbs in there. Who else did they have? They had about 4 quarterbacks in there. Dobbs won a couple games, but my guy Kevin O'Connell was doing his best to patch up hole. You see you remember the commercial where you get one leak over here, you get another leak over here, you get another leak over here. Kevin McConnell is spreading himself thin, trying to patch up holes on that Minnesota Vikings offense. Mm-hmm. They through 10 games, they were 6-4. They did lose. They do lose 6 of the last 7 games because they really didn't have a good quarterback. All right, Kevin O'Connell has an opportunity to go out and they draft McCarty, your guy JJ McCarty from Michigan. Okay, Michigan. He goes down in the second preseason game. But then they stick in there Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, who was drafted in 2018, I think, number 1 overall in 2018, is on his 4th team. He might have been an insurance salesman if O'Connell didn't go get him. He might have been He might have been calling you up to buy some State Farm or some Allstate insurance if O'Connell didn't call him up. O'Connell called him up, and right now, Sam Darnold's one of the hottest quarterbacks in the NFL. Not for Derek Carr. Sam Darnold's the hottest quarterback in the NFL. That's the quarterback whisperer at going at work. That's saying you could get somebody off the scrap heap and turn them around. That's why I say McDaniel's on the hot seat. If not, we can go get the guy. Go get a guy like I'm sure you're familiar. You're very familiar with Gary Kubiak, right? And his work when he was the offensive coordinator of the Denver Broncos running that Shanahan offense. I know you're very familiar with that plug and play offense and the system with the system running back. I mean, you're very familiar with that offense, right? You don't want to admit it, but you're very familiar with that offense. Well, now the Saints have the young Clint Kubiak out there, and they score more points than anybody in the league. They're the highest scoring team in the NFL right now with the young generational offensive coordinator. Okay, so we got to see what Mike McDaniel can draw up and scheme up and come up with that's going to work, right? All we know right now is the Dolphins can beat up they can beat up the teams under 500, but can they beat teams with a winning record? That's the first thing we need to see with a healthy quarterback. Can the Dolphins beat teams with a winning record? And now, what can Mike McDaniel do when all systems ain't going? When he has to plug holes like Kevin O'Connell was doing with the Minnesota Vikings, what can Mike McDaniel do? That's why I say I'm interested to see. This is a critical time in his career. As my man, I didn't play our intro, but as my man Hansen says, this is a critical year for Tua Tagovailoa to prove himself. This is a critical time for Mike McDaniel to prove his coaching validity, his coaching style, his coaching worth. What are your thoughts on that, Mr. Cleveland?
Yeah, you said a whole lot there, Cam. So for the fans, let me break this down in pieces, in chunks. So first and foremost, Mike McDaniel's not on the hot seat. He just lost his franchise quarterback. You get a pass when you lose your franchise quarterback if you just don't let the team go to hell. And I don't think he's going to let the team go to hell. And again, like I said, I think Tua will be back week 7, week 8 at the latest. And, hopefully able to turn this thing around. With regards to the whole Sam Darnold experiment, yes, they did beat the New York Giants the first game, which was a great.
Here we go.
And then they did beat the San Francisco 49ers without Christian Jackson McCaffrey and without Deebo Samuel for part of the game.
Oh, here we go.
So congratulations to that. But Cam, what's been happening? What have the defensive coordinators been doing? They've been gaining too much film. So, yeah, I think the Sam Darnold experiment eventually is going to run out, and you're going to be talking about him in week 5 or 6 like, wow, those first 2 games sure were amazing. He looked like the USC Sam Darnold there for a minute until he didn't. And you're giving him way too much credit as being the number 1 pick in the draft. Sam Darnold was never that. So
he was number 1 pick in the draft. What are you talking about?
He absolutely was not.
When did he get? What position did he get drafted in?
I'm pretty sure he was no higher than 3, but Sam Darnold, number 1 pick in the draft. I mean, shame on you.
Your Jets took him at number 1 pick in the draft.
Are you sure?
I'm looking at it right now. 2018. Sam Darnold. I'm just about positive. Sam Darnold, New York Jets in the draft, first overall. Oh, first round, third overall. Okay, excuse me. Third overall.
So you're standing down now from that number 1 overall pick. Great.
He was a Jets number 1 pick.
Okay, well, thank you for doing that. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Number 3 pick. Okay.
So the level of expectation, not nearly as high, right? Okay. And so the whole Kubiak thing, well, that's cool. They're doing some incredible, innovative things that no one thought that they were going to do. They came out the chute like, wow. Again, they beat the Carolina Panthers their first game. And then their second game, they beat Dallas. They sucker punched them, and Dallas never.
Oh, your guy with Podcast Parsons. Wasn't Podcast Parsons on that squad?
Sure was. And so, again, an impressive victory in that second one. That first one, I'm not, going to just, make too much about that. But
I mean, those are numbers. Is that a W or not? Did that go down as a W or not?
They certainly did beat the Carolina Panthers.
I'm just wondering if that goes down a W or not.
You're right. Are all wins the same? I mean, when you beat the Carolina Panthers at home, is that the same as beating the Kansas City Chiefs at home? Do you give it the same amount of credibility, victory wise? You don't.
So, okay, 2-0 right now.
Cool. So they beat the Carolina Panthers and then they beat the Dallas Cowboys. What's happening?
So now you're talking. Now you're just taking shots at
what's
everybody
happening?
I mentioned.
Too much tape. And now Shaheed and Olave is like, oh, okay. Kamara's found the fountain of youth for now. It's like, oh, okay. Derek Carr hasn't been really pressured that much, not even by Podcast Parsons. It's like, oh, okay.
Say fans mark this date, September 18th, 2024. Cleveland just totally downplaying what young Kubiak is doing in New Orleans. Just totally downplaying.
He's
totally downplaying. You said, oh, he played this Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
Like they're bums. Like that's
no, like they're bums. Yeah, they're bums.
Eastside Catholic or somebody.
Oh no, Eastside Catholic has way more talent than the Carolina Panthers. Don't
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying?
Don't get twisted. Oh yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Catholic players are they'll be Pro Bowlers any day now.
See what I'm saying, fans? He's saying the Carolina Panthers are equivalent to a high school team. That's essentially what he just said right now. And then it's funny how all of a sudden
picking the draft from 2 years ago when they could have picked a gentleman that I thought that was a better quarterback. That you gave no credence to is, what's this, 20 games into his NFL career? Not even a starter anymore.
Ooh. So let's talk about that. And this is I know Cleveland was actually calling for the coach's head last season and the GM's head last season, 10 weeks into the season, saying, how could they do this? How could they fail? How could they mess up so bad? And now, I mean, does it tickle you? I mean, did you get a little chuckle when you heard that Bryce Young was benched? For Andy Dalton, did that tickle you? I mean, you had to get a little chuckle out of it.
Not at all.
You walked to the coffee machine this week with your chest puffed out and say, "I told you so."
No, not at all. I derive no pleasure from watching someone they had such high aspirations for not succeed at what they thought that he was capable of doing. But I mean, it is what it is. And when I said that last year, the disparity is just so disproportionate that someone has to pay, and they have to pay with their job. And so once you're benching that guy in the second game of the season, yeah, you have to clean house. All those guys. I don't trust your judgment.
Well, they brought in new coaches. There's a new regime.
Yeah, and the new coaches didn't really particularly care for this quarterback in the same way that Sean Payton didn't care for Russell Wilson last year.
So now we can't wait to get Eric back on the show, because Eric was a proponent of Dave Canales and how he can turn things around. And he was a coach when Geno Smith helped Geno Smith have the best season ever, and he had confidence in him and this and that. And then you was right there with Eric. You was right there with him.
I wanted the best for Bryce Young, and this,
Oh, here we go. You wanted the best for Bryce Young. You was taking shots at him all last season. What are you talking about? You wanted the best for the guy,
right? And I thought that maybe this new regime would create an improvement in his play, and it has not.
Do you or anybody in Carolina expect Andy Dalton to have a better showing than what Bryce Young was going to do?
Andy Dalton will definitely be better than Bryce Young was doing, for sure.
You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, I was a fan of the Red Rocket coming out of TCU. But the kid's been in the league like 14 years now. In the last 4 years, he's been on the bench somewhere. I'm not so sure. Andy Dalton showed me in I don't want to necessarily. Andy Dalton's had some good seasons in the NFL, um, but he showed me something that I've only seen from Blaine Gabbert. The chuck and duck, the duck before you get throw the ball before you get hit, and then kind of hold throw the ball and kind of hold your body so you don't get hit to absorb the hit. I've only seen that from Blaine Gabbert, and that's kind of. I mean, we're gonna get to it later. That's kind of like a puncher, not wanting to punch because he's scared to get hit. Kind of what you saw at Deontay Wilder, his last couple outings. Um, I'll keep you at my distance. I keep you at my distance, but I'm not getting in close and banging with you. So I don't know what you expect. You say Andy Dalton's going to be much better. Andy Dalton don't want to get hit. And looking at that offense, Bryce Young has to accept his 4.4 yards per pass on the season. He has to accept that. He was also 3.3 yards per pass play in week 1. Cleveland, when we hand the ball off, we want to get 4 yards a carry. This guy's passing for 3 yards in week 1, 4.4 yards per pass play. Like, that's horrendous, Cleveland. So to your point, but some of it's covers based on his size, some of it's based on him not seeing the field, and some of it's based on him not having any time. And you think Andy Dalton's going to be more agile, more fluid in the offense than him?
Yes, he'll read defenses better and faster, and make better throws.
We'll see. We'll see if you're actually right on that point. Because that's going to be interesting to tell. Not like I'm a huge fan of Bryce, but everybody calling for his head pretty quickly, especially guys like you, pundits like you, calling for his head last season. Like, you didn't even get a chance to give him a chance to get a bad season out of his air. You didn't even give him a chance to get a bad season out of his energy before you was ready to call for his head. Okay, thank you. Um, a Monday night game, Cleveland. Did the Falcons win that game? We talking about Kirk Cousins bringing his team back. Did the Falcons win that game, or did the Eagles lose that game?
Eagles lost that game.
Now, I was riding the Giants pretty hard, Cleveland, for their handling of the Saquon Barkley situation all through Hard Knocks and all through the summer, and talking about the GM he just failed the Giants and Giants fans the way he handled that situation. But with Saquon Barkley dropping the pass on third down, that if he catches the pass and they get the first down, they run the clock out, they win the game. There's a lot of talk about should they even call a pass play, or because the Falcons had no timeouts. Should, by him dropping the pass, not only do they have to kick the field goal, but that stops the clock. I think more of that blame goes on Barkley dropping the ball than any blame on a play caller from running that pass play, because it was a pass play. If he catches the ball, it works perfectly. The game is essentially over. Should the Giants be vindicated for not re-signing Barkley based on that one play?
Can't really believe that you're asking me that question, Cameron, but absolutely not.
What do you mean? That's a fair question.
No,
when the guy, when your high-priced free agency, when your high-priced free agent drops the ball,
ask if not signing someone is vindicated on one drop. No, one play does not define whether a franchise is vindicated for not signing that player. It depends on your perspective. My perspective is simply this: he should have caught the ball. he didn't. I don't blame the play call because if you're swinging it out and you're throwing the ball to Saquon Barkley, 9 times out of 10, he's catching that and he's getting your first down. And if he catches that ball and gets a first down, you're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, like the prohibitive favorite to come out of the NFC as the Super Bowl representative.
Well, say settle down now. Settle down.
Look around the landscape of the NFC.
Settle down. There's a team in the NFC West.
Settle down.
There's a team in the NFC West.
You just watched the San Francisco 49ers go up to Minnesota and get their ass kicked by the Minnesota Vikings with Sam Darnold at quarterback.
Oh, you couldn't wait.
You're not fearing them at all.
You couldn't wait to talk about it. You look at it. Listen to the bass in the voice. Listen to the bass in the voice. Oh boy.
After that.
Oh boy. Now, he couldn't wait to hear. Oh, now let me see what these guys got now. Oh boy, listen to this bass in the voice.
No, if the Philadelphia Eagles won that game, they would be the prohibitive favorite and in pole position to win the NFC.
Now what happens? Since they lost the game, now what happens? It's wide
open. Now are against them. Now all of a sudden, all of their weaknesses are magnified. Now all of a sudden, Jalen Hurts is he had that one good season, but he's not really all that. Now all of a sudden, they're missing Kelsey so much, and let us not forget AJ Brown was not playing, so he will be playing eventually, and this team will get better. I'm not putting it all on. I mean, they just berated those coaches forever and ever. It's like, how is that not a safe play throwing Saquon Barkley coming out of the backfield?
Because what happened is a result-based business. You know that. It's a results-based business.
Nonsense, man.
It's a results-based business.
Catch the ball and get 3 yards. So it doesn't mean that the team is all of a sudden horrible because he didn't catch the ball and get the 3 yards. I'm just not going to go all just like, they're the worst team ever for doing all that. I'm not willing to do
that. That part I agree with you. I don't agree with you saying that the win makes them the prohibitive favorite.
It would have made them the number one team in the NFC.
I'm not going that far. You need to settle down with that. All that.
Record wise, who are the other 2-0 teams?
Oh, you just told me to look at the record, be saying, the Minnesota Vikings play the Saints play Carolina and the Cowboys. You just told me to ignore those numbers.
Right.
Now you want to look at the record? Now the record is important.
The Eagles beat the Packers in Brazil with Jordan Love, and they would have beaten the Falcons.
Who Jordan Love got hurt halfway through the game. So
no, not halfway through the game. The last 5 seconds of the game. Played the whole game.
Oh, this guy. We're talking about the New Orleans Saints. The record doesn't matter because of who they played. Now all of a sudden, so are you telling me now with Minnesota and New Orleans, they're the prohibitive favorites in the NFC to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl?
That's what everybody's looking at right now after week 2, after 2 weeks in the NFL season.
Cut it out, man. Cut it. I mean, I can't even with you. I can't even go there with you.
The other undefeated team in the NFC is who? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
No, it's the San Francisco 49ers, Cleveland.
Seahawks. No,
it's the San Francisco 49ers. They're the favorite in the NFC West.
Are not undefeated. They went to Minnesota and lost to Sam Darnold. Okay. Christian McCaffrey is out for at least 6 weeks. Debo Samuel not playing.
You want to see this?
You remember what happens when Brock Purdy has to run that offense without Debo and Christian in it?
Yeah, Brock Purdy is the MVP caliber quarterback.
He never
MVP caliber quarterback.
Never wins when those two players are not in the lineup.
That's not true. That's not true.
That's 100% true. He's lost every game that he started without Debo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey in the lineup.
That's not true at all.
Every single game.
He won week 1 without Christian McCaffrey.
But Debo played, right?
No, he didn't play. He got hurt in that game.
Yes, Debo Samuel did play in the first game.
Oh, Jesus. This guy. Kirk Cousins. Was that better Kirk Cousins or a bad Jalen Hurts that lost that game because the Eagles had more chances to win than that one play.
I'm not going to say it's a bad Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
Why would it be a bad Jalen Hurts? Because Saquon dropped the ball. And I'm not give Kirk Cousins a bunch of credit for that. I mean, they kind of figured it was not, it played a lot of prevent and, got beat over the top by Drake, which is, I don't want to say unforgivable, but kind of hard to do. But I'm not going to give Kirk Cousins a bunch of credit for that. And I'm not giving Jalen Hurts any blame because he put the ball right where it was supposed to be.
Who deserves more credit for the Vikings being 2-0? Kevin O'Connell or Sam Darnold?
Sam Darnold.
Oh my goodness gracious! Oh my goodness gracious! Woo! 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 Fans. I need my sound. I need my laugh track, fans. You just heard him. Sam Darnold, shame on you. Who is this guy? He wasn't even the number one quarterback. He was the number 3 draft pick. Blah 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 blah.
In the draft, like you made him out to be the anointed one. He wasn't anything remotely like that. A good prospect coming out of SC. He's bounced around the league for a minute, and it looks like he's had a little bit of success here early in Minnesota, and that's good for him. He's the one making the passes. He's the one making the plays. So I'll give him some credit on that one.
Fan, if you watch the show, this is how stubborn my co-host is. This is how stubborn he is. Absolutely 100% unwilling to give coaches any kind of credit whatsoever. How do you not see what Kevin O'Connell has done last season with once Kirk Cousins go down to now he brings a guy to scrap heap. This is Sam Darnold's 4th team. And he's making him look like Joe Montana in the first couple of weeks. How are you not giving the coach credit for that?
Well, I guess, Cameron, because it's the first couple of weeks. And one of those victories was over the New York Giants.
You still go out there play. You should. Right. Am I confused or something? Do they not put it on paper and saying and do? I know as much as ESPN stats at you, they don't just say projected stats and this is what we project you to do and we're going to go with those projections. They actually kick the ball off, Cleveland. They actually do kick the ball off. The guys do suit up. There are fans in the stands, and there are guys that actually call and play from the sideline, and then commanding the players to do what?
Which is why I give more credit to Sam Darnold for being able to, succeed in that environment for the first 2 weeks, one of which was against the New York Giants.
You absolutely refuse to give head coaches any credit. I laid it out perfully for you. Is it because he's a Sean McVay?
There are plenty of head coaches and coordinators that I give credit to. Plenty.
Is it because he's a Sean McVay disciple that he gets? You don't want to give him any credit? Is that why? Because I know you're just staying for that guy.
I mean, it's just early, Cameron. I mean, you talk about all the success he had last year, and they didn't really do anything. They were kind of,
their number one quarterback was out. Okay. Tore his Achilles in week 6 or 7.
Okay, and they kind of treaded water there for a little bit, and then they fell off.
Man, he would do the best what he can with the guy who was 4th string in Arizona,
and that's great. He did the best that he could do with what he had. And he's doing the same thing this season. He's doing the best he can with Sam Darnold for the first 2 games.
Now watch this, man. Watch this, man. Watch this. How quickly he flips his script. Do you give Justin Fields the credit for the Steelers being 2-0, or do you credit Mike Tomlin?
Well, Mike Tomlin has created
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying, man?
17 years.
You guys see exactly what I set him up for that. I set him up for that, fans.
Not had a losing record.
I set him. What does that mean? He's been mediocre.
He's played for
Hasn't won a playoff game in going on 8 years. Hasn't won a playoff game in 8 years.
Yeah,
mediocre.
He sets the tone over there in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So you now here in Pittsburgh, you're willing to give the credit to the coach, but you don't want to give credit to the player. Is that what I'm understanding? Is that what you want the fans to understand?
No, I mean, Justin Fields gets some credit, but I mean, let's not get too carried away with this. The Pittsburgh Steelers have only scored 1 touchdown in 2 games.
They're still 2-0.
They sure are. A testament to the coach and coaching up everybody else around him, because the quarterback has not contributed to any touchdown.
So now we give the here we
they
go.
Won their first game over the aforementioned Kirk Cousins Atlanta Falcons by kicking 6 field goals.
This is the same coach you want to give credit to that gives the second string quarterback a game ball. What the hell did he do deserve a game ball? And have you ever heard? When have you heard of the second string quarterback getting a game ball, Cleveland?
They probably do it all the time, Cam. It just hit social media and got a life of itself. It's a petty game ball. Like, that dude was petty. He treated you wrong, man. We went and got this one for you, man. This ball's for you. I'm not quite sure that was supposed to go public. Kind of like when Antonio Brown was doing Facebook Live in the locker room. Remember that? I mean, I'm not
under Mike Tomlin's watch. Under Mike Tomlin's watch.
Yeah, he thought he was being funny and cute, and yeah. Mike Tomlin can't watch. All 115 players and are they on their phone or not? And why are we even talking about this? The question was Fields or Tomlin. The answer is Tomlin.
You brought up Antonio Brown. I don't know. You brought
up the petty ball, giving it to the back, the backup quarterback.
I've never heard in my 30 years, 35 years.
It don't happen. It probably happens all the time.
The backup quarterback getting a game ball.
Goes to another team. Player goes, and this ain't just some backup quarterback, man. It's Russell Wilson.
He's a backup quarterback. You said it yourself. He's relegated to being a backup quarterback.
Only reason he's a backup quarterback is because his calf hurt. Because of that.
Because his calf hurt.
Because of that trainer trying to push 500-pound sleds around in July.
Because his calf hurts.
His calf is injured because of that strength and conditioning coach.
Oh, the strength and conditioning coach. Okay.
Yeah. I know you don't believe nothing like that,
No, absolutely not. I'm not buying. No.
You feel like they should be picking up, sacks with 500 bricks in them and carrying them like 5 miles.
Yep. To the other side of the field, pick it back up, and let's keep going. Back
in the other direction, getting 500 more, and keep doing that. But yeah, this is what you end up with. You're starting quarterback. His calves hurt.
His calves hurt. Maybe he's been on too many private jets, and getting with his stylist.
I know, Cam. I know you want everybody to take the stairs everywhere they go, and walk the 5 miles to the into the subway station. But hey, man, sometimes it gets a little out of hand. Strength and conditioning coach needs to be reprimanded for that.
That reminds me that the game ball to the backup quarterback reminds me of the trophy everybody gets for the participation trophy. That's what that reminds me of.
Okay, well,
Tomlin's over there giving out participation trophy.
Okay, well, it's not a participation trophy. It's a hey.
Ooh, it sounds like he didn't play. He didn't take one snap.
I saw the way Sean Payton did you last year, and hey, man, we got this win for you, man. Just to put it in his face, man. He didn't handle the situation right.
So we touched on this. We touched on this earlier. You give Clint Kubiak zero credit for infusing the offense and the
quite a bit of credit. What did I say, man? I said Alvin Kamara found the fountain of youth. He's spreading that offense all around, and he's making them look incredibly good.
The offense is 15 for 15. The offense had 15 drives in the season. They're 15 for 15 in scoring. I think it's like 11 touchdowns, 4 field goals.
That is incredible. I don't think that's sustainable statistics, but
You don't
so
think it's sustainable? That was kind of part of the question. Do you trust that? You don't trust that, huh?
no, I don't think they're going to score on every single offensive possession. I don't think that's sustainable now.
Cleveland, when Alvin Kamara specifically, you mentioned him a few times, when he runs for 191 yards, Cleveland,
Mm-hmm.
34 of those yards were before contact.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you credit in that situation?
Man, I credit Alvin Kamara and his ability to elude tacklers and stay healthy and continue to run. Now, that being said, a lot
That's
of
not
that
scheme, Cleveland. That's not scheme.
you didn't let me finish, Cameron. That being said, a lot of that has to do with some scheme. They have schemed up some plays that the rest of the league has not caught up with just yet. And against the Carolina Panthers, it was extremely effective. And then against
This is against your guy podcast Parsons, who you had as an MVP candidate last season.
And then against the Dallas Cowboys, extremely effective. The Cowboys don't like to be run at. That's pretty clear. They would much rather try and come around the edges and create havoc and pressure on the quarterback than try and stop a really strong, stout running game.
Who do they see this week?
Cowboys have the Baltimore Ravens.
And if the Baltimore Ravens, now I think you got Derrick Henry on your fantasy team. Like you should probably book a ticket to Baltimore if they don't give the ball to Derrick Henry 30 times this game.
Well, in addition, Mr. King Henry is a little bit salty about the Cowboys not offering him, a contract over the offseason.
I mean, I wonder. I might have to question some of Harbaugh and his tactics if Henry doesn't get the ball 30 times this game, based on what you just said.
Well, we'll see. There is still Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers, and the 2 tight end set. So
hey, settle down. You guys rest easy this week because we running the ball. So I guess now you're going to blame the Bears coach for the quarterback getting sacked 7 times, and then the Texans, the offensive line not being able to stand up to the Texans blitz. I guess you're going to blame the offensive coach for that because it can't be your guy, your golden kid, Caleb Williams making mistakes over there. It can't be your guy, Caleb Williams, not living up to expectations. That can't be the situation. So let's let the fans hear it now, Cleveland. This is the one time that you're going to blame the coach and not discuss the players.
Cameron, I said from the onset, my AFC pick for representative in the Super Bowl is Houston Texans. So the fact that they played extraordinarily well and that defense coached up by D'Amico Ryans.
Oh, now you want to give the coach credit when it leads up to your
with Neil Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. doing their thing, not particularly.
What school did Will Anderson go to?
Oh, he's a Crimson Tide. Crimson Tide alumni. So yeah, that's fine. But back to your other question, yeah, Caleb has got off to a really, really slow start, and I'm going to say I'm disappointed in the fact that the maturation process is taking much longer than anticipated.
Yeah. Oh boy, really? We got some objectivity finally. It took an hour and 2 minutes to get some objectivity from Cleveland, but 62 minutes into the show, we actually got some objectivity from them. So what is the turnaround? What do you blame this on?
Speed of the game. I think that he got kind of lured into a false sense of security with his preseason success, how effective training camp went, the synchronicity that he had with Rome and all those offensive weapons, and then real NFL life happened, and he wasn't.
So let me ask you a question. Cleveland. This is crazy for me to even ponder this question, but do you think actually preseason game matter, Cleveland?
Depends on what you take from it. If you take too much from it, then it's fool's gold. If you if you kind of look at it, okay, we got some additional reps against a different opponent other than our own, then it depends on how you process all of that. If you have a bunch of success in the preseason and you think that is going to transfer to the regular season, well, you see that that's not necessarily the case.
Well, he didn't have a bunch of success in the preseason. He had a couple plays that he made, a couple spin around plays, and the one play where he hit Rome down the sideline for 40 yards, for 46 yards, I believe it was. It wasn't like he had a spectacular preseason games, but to have him play 2 games, I mean, we need the same with our guy in Carolina. They need some plays out there.
What is a spectacular preseason game? What does that look like?
I mean, he wasn't 12 for 15 for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Okay, so that's a spectacular preseason game.
That's all I'm saying is the games weren't crisp and clean. That's what I'm saying.
Right. The correct answer is there's no such thing as a spectacular preseason game. You look pretty cool. You can
phrase it however you want to.
I mean, Bo Nix was the preseason MVP, right?
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't go that far. But I'm saying,
I would go that far. Bo Nix was the preseason MVP.
That's because you want to take shots at Bo Nix for what he's done in preseason as compared to regular season. That's the only reason you would say that. But to my point is the players need snaps. The players, his first experience in the NFL, he needs snaps. Whether he says he's going to be,
He got some.
He didn't play, in my opinion. He didn't play enough.
You got some snaps too. How'd that work? JJ McCarthy, you got some snaps too. How'd that work out?
And the other guy I was getting at was our guy in Carolina, Bryce Young, needed snaps. He didn't have a good season though, where he doesn't need to play weeks 2 and 3.
He had a fear of his durability. So how many more snaps were you going to give him?
You need to play, man. If we're worried about your fragility, what are we doing? That's a whole nother concern. If you're worried about him getting
protecting you from harm's way,
you're not protecting him. He doesn't know how to handle the speed of the game. He doesn't know how to make the right plays. He doesn't know how to make. He didn't know how to make something happen.
Played a full season last year.
He still needed snaps. Especially in a brand new offense, he still needed snaps. You can't say in week 2 he's not playing. Get out of here. This guy needs to play. This guy needs to show what he can do. He needs to get a feel of his teammates, his receivers. He needs some connection. The offensive line need to hear the voice. Come on, get out here with us.
It's had a whole training camp to do that.
Oh my goodness gracious! Here you go. So we had a couple plays that were highlighted. A lot of media, I think, went overboard with the hip drop tackle. What's your thoughts on the hip drop tackle? Should it be banned? Is this a banned play?
It looks like it's hard to relegate, right? It's hard to kind of figure out what is what and what is the alternative way of tackling. And so it was always kind of one of those things that was kind of marginal. Like, when are you going to call it? How are you going to call it? And
well, it happens too fast in a game time for the refs to catch that. I think they're looking at too many different things. So it's happening too fast for them to catch it. But I think players, nobody should be out there trying to injure somebody, and I don't think that's what they're intended to do. But they're trying to get a guy down, the best way possible, and so it's just kind of a weird thing that happens. And I don't think there's no ill intent. These aren't the guys. Who was my man, Perfect? Who was out there doing stuff with ill intent. I don't think we have those players in the league anymore today. So I'm kind of surprised. Well, I'm not surprised that they're making a big hubbub about it, but I just don't think. And I can be naive to this, but I don't think the players are out there to hurt one another. It's on defense, man. They can't go high because they're the risk of hitting them in the head. Now they can't go low because the players don't like for them to kind of take their knees out. And so when the ball carrier is running, you kind of got to get that guy down. And if you don't physically wrap him up and tackle him to the ground, I mean, you kind of got to throw your weight around. And your weight gets thrown around, and you fall on the guy's ankles. Um, it's not a good tackling form. I agree with you on that, but I don't think it's an intentional play. I mean, I'd like to talk to any of you, a couple of these defenders, and caught up doing this to see is it intentional or is this something that just happened in the kind of the heat of the battle. I'd like to know that. And as of right now, I can't say that it happens with the intention to injure, the intention to harm, in my opinion. Um, Cleveland, what was your most impressive win this weekend?
The Minnesota Vikings beating the San Francisco 49ers.
I mean, your hatred for the Niners, man, is coming through. It's really shining through. That new light you have on, I mean, the fans can see it clearly in your face. That your hatred for the Niners. It's easy to read. I had the Saints over the Cowboys was pretty impressive. The Saints have 91 points in 2 games, um, 44 and then 47 on the Cowboys. I thought that was pretty impressive. But then I'm gonna go give Deshaun Watson. You tried to take shots at Deshaun Watson earlier. I'm gonna give Deshaun Watson some credit for beating the Jaguars and looking half decent in that game. What's your thoughts on Deshaun Watson?
I mean, that was cool. They beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm officially done with those guys. Trevor Lawrence is going to get his coach fired at the end of the season. But before that, the Raiders beating the Ravens was a better win than the Browns over the Jaguars, in my opinion.
Who's the Raiders quarterback?
The Raiders did have an impressive victory over the Baltimore Ravens.
Who's the Ravens or the Raiders quarterback? I'm not sure.
Cameron, I don't have my Raiders roster right in front of me, so I can't really. Number 15, I believe it is. I believe his number is.
Number 15. Okay.
I believe that's what his number is over there.
I had the Ravens losing to the Raiders as the worst loss of the week. I also had the Eagles losing to the Falcons and the Bengals losing to the Chiefs. The Bengals losing to the Chiefs. The kind of funny thing that happening in this game is the Chiefs now, and I don't want to say as I expected, but everybody knows if you listen to my pick for the Super Bowl, I expect the Chiefs to win their third Super Bowl in a row. So I don't find this to any surprise is that the Chiefs now are winning games that they used to lose. If you remember when they lost to the New England Patriots, they lost to the New England Patriots because on the final play final regular final play in regulation, Chris Jones jumps off sides, and that gives the Patriots a chance to kick the field goal, send it in overtime, and then they catch the field goal, go down and score. The Chiefs, they found a way. They weren't champions at the time. They weren't champions like they are now. They found a way to lose that game, similar to the Bengals. They aren't champions yet. So this is a game. The pass interference call, like this is Patrick Mahomes throws it up to give his receiver a chance. The defender runs into the receiver. Boom, PI. Patrick Mahomes uses the opportunity, go down, kick a field goal, win the game. Like that's winning teams do that type of stuff. And the Bengals aren't there yet. Would you agree or disagree with that one?
They made some very costly mistakes. The Jamar Chase thing, the 15 yards.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are things you do when you're struggling and don't win games, especially early in the season. But what I saw was Cincinnati has no fear of Kansas City and will go toe to toe with them anywhere, any place, anytime, and like their chances to do so. I mean, the Chiefs are fortunate to come out with that victory. Certainly, it's shown that they have matured since whatever you're talking about. 5 years ago? Yeah, that was a long time ago, bro. They won several Super Bowls and appeared in several Super Bowls.
Yeah, they're winners now. To my point, they're now winners, and they weren't before.
Yeah, but I mean, you're talking about you bring up old
winners now.
You bring up old stuff. I mean, I
was proving my point. I was supporting my argument, sir. That's what that was all about.
Yeah. Okay, so the Bengals need a little bit more, but I'm not going to beat them up too much about that. Sure, they should have won that game, and perhaps years ago the Chiefs would have lost that game, but Yeah, they are on different trajectories right now, and the Bengals need to figure out a way to get this done. And you know, I mean, if T. Higgins don't come back soon, it might be too late.
Yeah, he'll be back Monday. So fans, looking at our score sheet from last week, you get a chance, and I don't mind doing this week in week out. Kind of give you guys a show of our picks from the previous week and how they played out. Because this is there's some money on the line here, fans. There's some money on the line. If you follow the show, there's some bragging rights on the line, and even more than that, there's some good barbecue on the line that I'm looking forward to enjoying once again this season. Um, so let me do something. Let me do. Let me do something. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get. This is what I want to do. Ah, just to help you guys see this better. That's all I'm trying to do. There we go. That's what I'm trying to do. All right. So as you can see the Bills, Dolphins. We both had the Bills. We talked about most of these games already. The Saints beat the Cowboys. We both had the Cowboys. Oddly enough, we both had the Lions. The Baker Mayfield beat the Lions. I had Green Bay over Indy. How you feeling about Richardson? Did you draft Richardson in one of your fantasy football teams?
In one of them, it auto drafted for me. I was kind of lukewarm on it. Obviously, was very happy last week when he was going off. This week, like, yeah, kind of sounds or looks a little bit like Anthony Richardson. So, there's going to be some ups and downs with him. Last week was a down.
Your Jets squeaked by the Titans. We talked about the Vikings upsetting the 49ers. The Seahawks flew out to New England. We both had Seahawks, Cleveland. Who is your quarterback for the Seahawks?
The quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks, Cameron, is Geno Smith.
And how you feeling about Geno this week?
I feel much better than I have in quite some time. He looked very poised and composed, and led his team back from some drastic potential outcomes. So very happy with what he was able to do.
Are you willing to give Geno Smith the credit for their win, or are you going to give the coach some credit?
Oh boy, Geno gets a whole bunch of credit. Again, he righted the ship. He kept everybody together. Kept everybody believing in themselves, and they were able to come out with that victory.
Look, I like it. I like it. He finally go. I know he hates it. I know he hates it. I'm gonna have to send this clip to Geno because he hates to give Geno any credit. But I like it. He finally coming around on Geno. Um, we talked about the Seahawks, the Giants, and the Commanders. The Commanders won that game. Jaden Daniels, any faith in him? Has it grown? Has it developed? Now he took a hard shot. He went ran for about 12 yards, took a helmet to the ribs, and we thought he might have been done for the day. He jumps up, misses a play, gets right back in the game. Does that show you anything about Jaden Daniels?
No.
Still no love for Jaden Daniels, huh?
No.
Well, he did get his first win against the Giants. Uh, Chargers go to Carolina, smack the Panthers around like they should have. You get the Chargers and Justin Herbert any credit for handling their business?
Beating the Carolina Panthers, who just benched their starting quarterback Bryce Young. I mean, relatively speaking, they did beat another professional NFL team, so you always get credit for that. But
I mean, they forced him to get benched.
But they beat the worst team in the league, so there's
only some would say they forced a benching.
Cameron, when you beat the worst team in the league, there's only so much stock you can put in that. That's all I'm saying.
We both had Jacksonville over the Browns, and I give Deshaun Watson some credit for looking decent. Had a rushing touchdown, had a couple plays, and Deshaun, when you throw a touchdown pass, Deshaun, or they wasn't even a touchdown pass, it was like a long first down, like for 25 yards. You can't reach in the back and then throw the ball. You can't do that, Deshaun. Like, I don't know. Did you see that?
It's whatever Deshaun needs to do to give himself confidence and keep.
No, Deshaun. Deshaun. The last few seasons have been pretty bleak, big dog. You can't come out of here after a couple plays and then start, shooting the bow and arrows around the field. You can't do that. I mean, maybe you could reach for it. Maybe you can reach for the ammunition, but you can't just start shooting it, and you can't, Deshaun. You're in no position to do that, big dog. Just a word of advice, man. You can't. You're not ready to do that yet. You have a lot of, as Cleveland would say, you got a lot of stench to get off of you first, before you can start doing that again. Cleveland disagrees, though. Raiders over the Ravens. We both had. Again, I'm concerned with the Ravens and the fact that a lot of people came in here high this season on the Ravens, took that loss, and they're going to get to the Super Bowl now. I mean, I wasn't that confident. I know they're going to be a good team. I know they're going to make the playoffs, but I still question Lamar's effectiveness down the stretch of ball games. I don't know if Lamar is ready to go win you a game yet. I don't have that confidence. If their running game is going good and he has 150 yards and the defense is playing lights out, sure, they can win that game. But if it's a 13-16 game or a 17-21 game and it's in the fourth quarter, can Lamar lead them to a victory? I don't have that confidence yet. Do you, Cleveland?
I have a tremendous amount of confidence in his ability to win the game with his legs on the ground. I do not have a tremendous amount of confidence for him to win the game with his arm through the air.
The Cardinals and the Rams. So we had look at you pick the Cardinals over the Rams. That was a bias field pick, certainly. But talk about the Cardinals and why you picked the Cardinals over Rams. I'll give you that. I'll throw you that lob right there.
Oh, well, Kyler Murray and his new found toy, Marvin Harrison Jr. I believe Marv was a little embarrassed by his, NFL, first performance and wanted to make amends. And he certainly did. Made it for all that in the first half.
Yeah, great game. I'm still not sure he got his feet down on that first touchdown, though. Still not sure. I might have to go check the replay a couple more times. I'm still not sure if that. It looked extra sweet. It looked really, really good, but I'm still not sure his feet got. You know the play I'm talking about?
I am not sure that the play you're talking about. No.
Well, the ball, the
touchdowns, they all look like his feet were down. So.
Well, Kyler Murray threw it over. It looked like Marvin was running at probably not 100 miles per hour, but probably at about 93, 94 miles per hour. And the ball went over the defender's head and looked like it was going over Marvin's head, but he caught it. And then it looked like he barely got the feet down for the touchdown. That was his first one. And the other one, he dove for the end zone. Looked like Marvin's probably a 4'6" or 4'7" guy. He's not running away from many people.
Don't believe that's what the combine said, but
Well, he didn't run in the combine. Remember, he didn't do the combine, but he obviously had a pro day. But he didn't do the combine, if you recall.
I don't recall the pro day being less than 4.4.
Was it 4.4?
Maybe so. Whatever the case may be, we're in week 3, and it looks like a valuable weapon for Kyler and the Cardinals offense.
Okay, so you had the Steelers over the Broncos in the Petty Bowl there, and you got Mr. Mediocrity over there in Pittsburgh, Cincinnati and the Chiefs. We talked about them.
Not mediocrity, consistency.
Mediocrity, fans. Mediocrity. He hasn't won a playoff game in almost a decade. Okay, that's what we're dealing with. Texans. We predicted the Texans going to. Handle the Bears fairly. Both quarterbacks look shaky in that game, actually, Cleveland. I watched that game pretty closely. Both quarterbacks look real shaky in that game. You have to admit, are you willing to admit that?
They both look shaky. Still, Super Bowl preview.
It's no Super Bowl preview.
It's just early. It's just early.
Stop that.
It just adds
You're ruining your credibility. Any credibility you had, Cleveland,
adds
you're
to the
ruining it with the fans.
it just adds to the suspense is all.
Any credibility you think you may have had, Cleveland, you're ruining it when you
It
say
just
Super
adds
Bowl
to the
preview.
story and the suspense, Cam. That's all it does.
We talked about the Falcons over the Eagles game. We should have points taken away. That should be 0 right there.
That
So
should be
that should be 9 points instead of
fine.
10 points.
No,
So we have to get that corrected. But nonetheless, picks against the spread. Cleveland, did you have 2 picks? Who was your picks against the spread?
it's either the Chargers and the Commanders.
One and a half. What guts you had there? I lost there. The Commanders won, and the Rams lost their game, didn't they?
They sure did. See there against Arizona. We were just talking about that.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
mm. Here's the picks against the spread. How'd you do here, Cleveland?
Just a tad bit better than you.
Just a touch. I had the Chargers. I had Baltimore and San Francisco. I was confident that they were going to win and walkaways there. And the Eagles also actually lost too. I did have confidence in the Texans. But yeah, shaky grounds. So next week, fans, our picks weren't in. That we have to get our picks ready right for next week. So we'll show you the results of our pick segment next week. Um, but that's our NFL topics. Luan, anything I missed?
NFL topics. Anything that you missed? I think you certainly missed the fact that Isaiah Pacheco is going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. That's I think probably
Pacheco, yeah.
catastrophic injury that happened over the course of week 2.
Yeah, AJ Brown, as you mentioned, he missed Amon-Ra St. Brown missed some games. The Lions say he's gonna be okay, but that was critical for their game. As you mentioned, Pacheco expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks. AJ Brown.
Yeah, the defensive lineman Johnson for the Jets. I mean, he's out for the year. That's huge. So,
Oh, is it really?
Really is.
Is it?
Considering how wide open the AFC East is now that Tua Tagovailoa is going to miss somewhere between 6 and 8 weeks.
I didn't even have them going to the playoffs with the healthy tour. So,
okay. Well, Cam, I'm just saying,
how wide open that is.
I'm saying the loss of the defensive lineman for the Jets is even more critical because there's an additional team that's probably not going to be much of a factor in the AFC East, and so it's just going to be a 2-team race. See where I'm going with that?
With the Patriots and the Bills, you talking about?
And I was talking about the Bills and the Jets. I saw the Patriots play. I mean,
I told you I had the Bills not making the playoffs. I had the Dolphins not making the playoffs. I'm not sure what you're talking about. A 2-team race.
Okay, well,
no really 2 teams.
We're supposed to win the division. I believe you picked the Bills to win the division. So how are they not going to make the playoffs?
No, I have the Bills making the playoffs. They have them winning the division. It's that other team you mentioned that I told you they're not making the playoffs. I think I was very clear on them not making the playoffs.
Oh, so the Jets aren't making the playoffs. Okay.
Correct.
Well, I mean, time will tell.
I was very clear on that.
There's an awful lot of football to play, but so far, they look like they're kind of they were starting to look like they were rounding into form, and now they're.
I mean, I don't know what that means. They're starting to look like they're rounding into form. I don't know what that starting looks like. Like either you are or you're not. Cleveland, in regards to the NBA, man, only a few topics to get into. Boban announces his retirement in the NBA. Now, as I read it, it looked like he said he's not playing the NBA anymore. Doesn't mean he's not going to go play basketball in Europe somewhere and collect make more fans and collect more money. But that was one heck of a nice dude, man. My incident with Boban was this is when he played for the Clippers. I'm at the game on the court while they're warming up. And I happen to be, for whatever reason, standing right, at the backboard stanchion, like, the backboard stanchion that holds the backboard up. For whatever reason, I'm leaning against the stanchion, but like right in the middle of the stanchion. And so like right in the whoever was probably I was taking filming whoever was shooting free throws, and I'm standing right there, and then Boban watches. He comes up and he sees me filming. He waits like until I was done filming, and he was like, "Okay, you done? You got your shot?" Because I need to warm up. I need to do my routine right there. It was like most other players are like, "Excuse me, let me get right there." They kind of comment. We're there. We're only there because they're there. You know what I'm saying? So we know that they have the right of way. We clearly understand that. But Boban stopped and he let me film and was like, "Are you done? Did you get your shot? Now get along." Pretty much. But it was really cool how he did it. And then if you remember, obviously he playing for the Clippers, or no, this is playing for the opposing team. He spent a couple of years with the Clippers. Him and Tobias Harris had a good relationship and making commercials and videos together. But Boban coming back to the LA, as the teams they bring out in the third quarter. If you well in LA specifically, I'm not sure every city kind of has their own little gimmick there, but if a if a player misses back to back free throws, they would get the free Chick-fil-A sandwich. Um, so they have the Chick-fil-A guy come out making a whole bunch of noise, getting riling the crowd up while he's at the free throw line. They're going crazy. Uh, Boban misses the free throws intentionally, so the fans can get the free sandwich. He intentionally missed the free throw. Now it wasn't a game; those free throws were inconsequential. I think the Clippers were up 18 or 20 points at this time, so the free throws he missed were totally inconsequential. But yet and still, he intentionally missed them and then gave a wink to the crowd as he turned around to go back down court, which was kind of comical. Like you don't find that's a couple things where players don't acknowledge the fans in that sense. You know what I'm saying? Um, and so Boban was a unique, charismatic kind of guy. So that's my memory of Boban Mary Marironovich, something to that effect. You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
Woes leaving ESPN to be the AD at St. Bonaventure.
General manager of basketball.
General Jim at St. Bonaventure. They had to pay him a whole lot of money. That's the first thing that comes to my mind because you known as Woj bomb dropping Woj bombs all over the place, dropping all the hot heat. As he says, I made a living breaking news on stories around the NBA. Now I'm part of the news. Like they had to pay him a lot of money. That's all I can say. Because I know he wasn't making 125 grand with ESPN. And so, what do you think St. Bonaventure came in there at? To get him to even if that was one of the school he went to, and he has a lot of loyalty to the program, et cetera, et cetera. Um, I would just say they paid him a pretty handsome deal. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't think St. Bonaventure has the resources to, give him like a Count of Monte Cristo type of deal, like an offer he just couldn't refuse. I think he just was like, "Oh, this sounds kind of cool. Let me try and do this." And was probably fairly burned out of following the NBA around that, that intently for that long. It kind of sounded like, this is kind of a refreshing, kind of cool thing to do, kind of step back and, my old stomping grounds, my alma mater. And I don't have to take that deep of a pay cut. There's no way that's a vertical move. He's not making more money than he was making at ESPN. I just don't think
Well,
that's
yeah, certainly, and that's kind of what I'm saying. Do you think his brother, his cousin, who works at St. Bonaventure, is like, yeah, I'll do you guys the solid? What do you think is happening here?
I think probably they gave him so much autonomy and control over everything that he just felt very comfortable with it. And, it was just like, man, I'm tired of I'm tired of the rat race. Like someone that, lives in New York, working, 16, 18 hours a day. And all of a sudden, like, hey, man, want to come to San Diego and go surfing?
Okay.
It's like half the money, but like also, twice less the stress,
Asia Wilson, Cleveland, and let's move over to the WNBA. Asia Wilson becomes the first player to reach 1,000 points earlier this week in a season. If that wasn't impressive enough, Cleveland, she is also three rebounds shy of grabbing the most rebounds in a season, and 2 blocks shy from becoming the third player with over 100 blocks in a season. Is any question who's the MVP in this league?
No, not at present. No.
I mean, you think something can change here in the next few weeks?
No, I mean, no. What I'm saying is she's the MVP of the league this year for sure. I thought you were going somewhere else, like the greatest player ever. Or, you tend to kind of go off on those tangents. So, but yeah, for this season,
man. See, I don't know what do you got me being. I mean, who do you got me being, Mr. Extremist? Come on, man. I don't go on the.
You tend to kind of make conclusions after like 1 or 2 seasons. I mean, that's just kind of your MO. So as far as this season, yeah, for sure, Asia Wilson is the MVP. That question.
What conclusion have I made after 1 or 2 seasons? Just give me an example.
I think after Patrick Mahomes' second season, you said he was the greatest quarterback ever. I think after Shohei Ohtani's third season, he said he was the greatest player ever seen.
I think we're in like year 7 now, Patrick Mahomes, and I've documented.
Sure, no, but you were saying that way before.
Have I proven to be right or wrong in that one, Cleveland?
Okay, so what I said was Asia Wilson. I just said this year. Yeah, she's the MVP for sure.
Okay, and then you gave me Shohei. We're gonna get to Shohei. I'm not gonna let you off the hook. We're gonna get to Shohei. And again, I'd ask you, have I proven me right or wrong on that one there? Clayton Clark becomes an all-time scoring leader and has accumulated the most assists and 3-pointers made of any rookie. Has she solidified? I mean, can we start putting a bronze statue in with her name on the Rookie of the Year trophy?
Yeah, you can already engrave that one. I'm pretty sure that's actually already done. You don't have to.
Oh, it's already done. We don't have to. We don't have to order that one up. The WNBA announces expansion into Portland, Cleveland. What should the name be? Seattle has a storm. Should it be the rain clouds? Should it be the Portland precipitations? What should the Portland rain or the name be?
It should be the Portland Lady Trailblazers.
Lady Trailblazer? I mean, some high schools don't even have the same lady, do they? That's the Lady Volunteers with Tennessee might be the only school that has that. The Lady Trailblazers, Cleveland. That's the best we can come up with.
Yes, that's what they get.
That's what they get.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, fans. Let's talk about this week in history. September 21, 1872, John Henry Conyers of South Carolina became the first African-American student admitted into Annapolis Naval Academy. 1872. Interesting.
Sounds fun.
September 22nd, 1950, Ralph Bunche received Nobel Prize for his meditation efforts in the mediation efforts, in the Middle East, and become the first person of color to receive the prize. September 20th, 1958, Martin Luther King Jr. was stabbed in the chest by a deranged black woman in New York City as he was autographing his new book in a department store in Harlem. Cleveland, with the rumors that swirl around Mr. Martin Luther King Jr., Was this a deranged person trying to get a book signing, or a upset?
I will not broach that subject.
Why not? This is the voice of the fans. The fans want to know your opinion.
Nope.
Oh, yeah. uh, um, September 17th, excuse me, 1970, Flip Wilson show premieres on NBC television. It's the first full variety show in prime time to star African American males since the Nat King Cole show. Um, Cleveland, September 17th, 1973, which state became the first state to honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday as a holiday? Give you two guesses.
The first state to do that was Georgia.
Georgia. No, not Georgia.
First state to do that was California.
I didn't know either. No, it was Illinois.
Oh wow.
I did not know that myself. Illinois has become the first state to honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday as a holiday.
Wonder why. That's weird.
Uh, September 12th, 1977, noted anti-apartheid activist. Or excuse me, no, that was last week. That was last week. Excuse me. Um, September 17, Cleveland. 10 years later, after Illinois has become the first state to honor Dr. Martin Luther King birthday holiday, 10 years later, who became the first African American woman to be crowned Miss America?
Vanessa Williams.
I don't. Williams's reign came as a Miss American came to an abrupt end when scandal led to her subsequent resignation. I remember the scandal. What was the scandal?
She appeared in Penthouse.
Oh, that's right. She did. That's right. That's right. She did. That's right. And it wasn't. She appeared in Penthouse years before, right? Yeah, that's absolutely right. Um, September 22, 1998. Um, Florence Griffiths Joyner, winner of uh, Florence Florence Griffiths Joyner, winner of 3 gold medals and a silver medal at the 1988 Olympics, found dead at her home in Mission Viejo at the age of 36 or 38. Excuse me. Did we ever get an autopsy? Did we ever get a report or what happened to Flojo?
I believe we did it. It was always kind of Sketchville. I don't remember exactly what the pronounced cause of death was, but yeah, she was awfully healthy
I mean, 38.
going into it. Yeah, I don't remember what
I
it
mean,
was.
38.
Kind of crazy. Yeah.
10 years after the Olympics or Olympics appearance. Like I don't remember. I don't remember. 1998. I don't remember anything other than hearing she passed. Um. Uh. Cleveland, September 18th, 1976. Cleveland Indians player manager manages or played his last game as a player. Who was that?
I want to say Don Baylor.
I'll give you one more try. Cleveland Indians player manager played his last game as a player. 1976, September 18. All these are trivia questions. The next one for you.
I'm gonna go Frank Robinson on that.
Congratulations, Frank Robinson. Um, September 18th, 1984. Who was the first player with 4 consecutive 70 stolen base seasons?
What year?
1984.
That's Ricky Henderson.
No, one more try.
What? First player with 4 consecutive 70 stolen bases, and it wasn't Ricky Henderson.
No.
You sure?
In 1984, Ricky Henderson was he wasn't like till late 80s, wasn't he? Early 90s?
Ricky Henderson broke the stolen base record in 81.
Oh, it was 81 he broke it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
No, it wasn't Ricky Henderson.
Okay. All right. My
That
second
was
guess
81 he did that?
is either 81 or 82. My second guess is Vince Coleman.
No.
My third guess is Willie McGee.
No. Tim Raines.
Oh, wow.
First player with 4 consecutive 70 stolen base seasons.
That's impressive.
September 18, 1996. Which player tied his own major league record with 20 strikeouts?
Roger Clemens.
Yes. And Cleveland, September 16, 1984, the first episode of Miami Vice airs. Did you watch Miami Vice?
Religiously.
Did you really?
That's one of my favorite shows ever.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know Miami Vice, but I didn't watch it religiously.
Crockett and Tubbs, bro. I don't know.
I know. Again, I know Miami Vice. I know the show, but I didn't watch it religiously.
Yeah, man, that was good stuff. That was real good.
Absolutely. I mean, I could hear the music if I
had the poster on my wall with the Ferrari, and they're holding the shotgun.
Yeah. You were fired up.
Yeah.
I couldn't go that far. Cleveland, I gotta double check this number before I get overhyped here. I gotta check this number. Standings, top 25. Did Texas deserve to be top number 1?
Yeah.
Yes,
they do.
Okay, so what do you do? Does Manny start, or is it yours job, or do you go to Manny?
Quinn Ewers starts as soon as he's healthy.
No, come on, man. Manning steps right in, throw 4 touchdowns, run for another one. You gonna sit him down?
So do you
Hughes isn't that good, bro.
Do you recall the team that Arch Manning beat?
What? Madison State?
The University of Texas, San Antonio.
Yeah. So what?
Do you recall the team that Ewers beat the week before?
Who did he beat?
Defending national champion.
Huh?
It was a defending national champion. So what are we talking about here?
Hewers is the number 1 player. So Manning's gonna go on a tear here, and you think he's gonna be? Let me see who Texas got next. Who Texas got next? Let me see here. This isn't giving me Texas schedule. You got Texas staying up number 1, or you got Hewers staying at the starting quarterback. I don't think so. Man, this is Manning's junior year. Manning just sat down enough. He sat down enough and not made any waves. Surprisingly, he has not made any waves. I mean, he was playing
quarterback in front of him, and that's the job.
Well, a quarterback who hasn't made no mistakes. That quarterback got to be playing. He got to be walking around on pins and needles.
Oh man, okay. What? You Archie's agent or something?
I'm just saying.
Get my grandson out there. Get my grandson in there.
Yeah, or Archie. No. I mean, Peyton comes down. Peyton comes, walks the sideline, and
Peyton and Eli, and
he's on the sideline. He can't get no cue time. He can't get no playing time.
Nope.
Mm. What is it? He's a junior. Is he a sophomore or junior?
Don't remember. Doesn't matter. He's not going to start once Ewers is healthy.
So Peyton Manning, he's going to go like your boy Kyrie did. Well, Kyrie didn't only play 1 year, so that's not that doesn't count. Who else? What other quarterback, if you're right, has played no games and is going to be the number 1 draft pick? Has there been a quarterback that played? No. Well, Hewers got to leave. Is Hewers a senior this year? Hewers is like a year or 2 older than him.
Ewers
right?
is leaving. He's a top 10 pick.
So Peyton Manning to get a chance to start next season.
Arch, but yes.
Or, Archie, Peyton Manning's nephew. Archie, he'll get a chance. So we'll see him play. I don't know, man. He might not be giving up his he might I don't know. It's a questionable thing whether he gives up that starting job.
It's not questionable. They want to win a national championship. So once the starting quarterback is healthy, the starting quarterback will be back in the starting lineup.
I mean, he's gonna have to work his way into shape, right? And if that working your way back into shape.
No, man. Nah, you're making too much of this whole Manning thing.
Oh, okay. Oh man, he's nobody. He's no. Are you gonna say if his name was Josh Smith, we wouldn't be talking about him?
You're just putting everything on the last name.
I'm just so if he was Josh Smith, nobody would know about him. Is what you're saying?
If he was Josh Smith, they would be like, "You did a great job holding it down until Ewers was healthy. Thank you so much for doing that."
Ooh, I think even Josh Smith would get a good look, man. I think so. The U number 8 in the country, is that legit?
It's legit.
That's legit. Where the Huskies ranked?
I'm not in a good place to talk about the University of Washington Huskies right now, so I don't know.
Oh, what happened over the weekend? They had the Apple Bowl, didn't they? What?
It's not the Apple Bowl. It's called the Apple Cup.
The Apple Cup. Oh, see, he's sensitive, fans. What happened in the Apple Cup, Cleveland? Would you remind the people or let the people know what happened in the Apple Cup?
Washington State Cougars won the Apple Cup.
Okay, interesting. What happened? I mean, give us some. You want to give us some more than that?
Last play of the game, it was poor. It was a poor play call. The game was poorly officiated. There were several calls that went
officiated now. Now we're blaming the
However, no one's blaming the officials for losing. You never ever blame anyone for losing to the Washington State Cougars. So it's all on the University of Washington Husky players and coaches. They should all be ashamed of themselves. The 15 penalties or whatever it was egregious, mystifying, horrible. This Jed Fish guy has lost a lot of credibility in this town, and I'm not sure how long he's gonna be around.
Oh, now you're trying to get petition signed so the guy gets ran out of town. Are you familiar with the Syracuse Orange? What their record is?
No.
Oh, they're 2-0. I just thought I'd remind you of that. We got a Pac-10 softie coming into town, so we'll get a chance to smack them around.
Who's that?
Stanford. Pac-10 softie. They don't know nothing about football in the Pac-10.
Well, first and foremost, there is no Pac-12 anymore, so I don't know what conference you're claiming that they come from.
Well, no. Clean that back up now. We didn't have a chance to talk about this last week. Oregon State and Washington State, the Cougars who just smacked you guys around.
A few squads, but that's not this season.
Don't just wipe it around.
There's no Pac-12.
In 2006, in 2026.
Good for you for winning those 2 games. So did you guys beat those first 2 games?
No, it's not. It's not.
Don't you remember, do you?
It's not important. It's 2-0 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. It's 2-0. Now, don't just wipe they brought in a few teams. I mean, they're legitimate teams. They're rebuilding the program, rebuilding the conference after a couple bums and chumps just walked out on them.
No, not bums and chumps.
It was bums and chumps, if I remember, because we just smacked one. Wazoo just smacked one of the chumps around this past weekend, and wait till they get their hands on Oregon Ducks. Yeah, now nothing to say there, huh? Uh, Cleveland, what do you think about Tennessee announcing that they're charging fans for a player's fee to help them pay for the NIL costs? What do you think about that?
Cam, it's kind of twofold. Actually, it's threefold. Number one, Tennessee plays in the SEC, and the schools in the SEC have war chests to go after coaches and players in excess of like $100 million. The University of Tennessee does not have deep pockets like that, so I'm okay with them like pandering to the fans and the alumni. Hey, we need some help with trying to keep up with the Alabamas and the Texas A&Ms and the Georgias and the Texases of the world. 10% tax on it. I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is if other schools who don't have those type of resources try and follow that same business model without the same type of results because the pockets just are not that deep. Neyland Stadium holds like 95,000 people, right? So even if you're doing like $100 additional a season per person, well, that's like $10 million, right? But if you're trying to do that at like some smaller school where the ticket sales aren't that high to begin with, trying to generate some money and saying like, okay, well now we're going to compete with these other schools, then you're kind of kidding yourself. And then lastly, to think that if this is going to be like the thing that puts you over the top, it's not, because those other schools are much more serious about winning and have much more resources with which to do so. So I like the fact that they were very upfront about it. We need some money to kind of keep pace. I like the fact that they understand where they're at and who they're competing against, but just don't read too much into it like this is like a recipe or a formula for success for other institutions or even their own for that matter, but it just keeps them kind of in the race, so to speak.
I question. You make very solid points here on all three of the points that you just made. Um, why announce it? Why announce it? Why have to?
They want
What?
complete total transparency. They want everyone.
Why not? Our prices are going up.
Yeah.
Our prices are going up. It's an inflation, and now we got to pay for the players. I don't think it needs to be. I don't think that needs to be spoken about. In my opinion.
But Cameron, they're going as far as to putting like the codes on their helmets. They were literally going to try and do that, scan the key code on their helmet, and if you wanted like donate.
But that wasn't only Tennessee, was it?
But that was Oklahoma State that did that.
Yeah,
they said you couldn't do that. They actually said like, yeah, no, it's going a little far.
It's going. It's going a little cheesy.
Put the phone up and scan the helmet. Yeah,
but dude, you don't need it. I don't think it's worth announcing, in my opinion. I don't think that's an announcement that needed to be made. Fans, you should every year you should expect that ticket price to go up. You can't expect the same ticket price to be paying these parents who who have two kids at Tennessee expect to be paying the same prices that for tickets that they were paying when they went to school. Like that just doesn't make sense. Like you mentioned, you need to keep up. I'm okay with the transparency. I'm not trying to try to deceive anybody, but everybody expects that the ticket's going to go up. I know when I go to a Syracuse game that ticket isn't what it was 15 years ago. I already know that. And so now I'm looking forward to get okay.
You might not necessarily expect it to be 10% more than it was last year.
I'm looking for a ticket in my price range. If I can't sit in the front row, I'm looking for a ticket in the 200 row, in the 200 level. That ticket is going up, and I just don't need them to say. As you mentioned, they're offering complete transparency. That's fine. It's not something they don't need complete transparency. I'm sure every volunteer fan who's buying tickets is not looking at it and saying, this same ticket was $75 last year. Now it's $100. What? Why? I wonder why it's $100. Like, I don't think that's happening. I could be naive, but if that guy wants to go to the game, he and his boys is going to buying tickets to the game. They're going to realize that last year we paid $35 for the ticket. This year that ticket is $45. I mean, that's kind of common sense, in my opinion. Am I off? Am I that far off?
Yeah. I mean, depending on where the seats are, depending on who it is. I mean, and again, it's in Tennessee, so this is not like a real affluent part of the country. So yeah, 10% could affect those
But
people.
they know, and okay, so you mentioned in Neyland Stadium holds 95,000 seats. Holds 95,000 people. So of those 95,000 people, how many do you think are looking at the price to say I can or can't do this? I don't think that's happening, Cleveland. Because
I can't speak for Tennessee Volunteer.
I'm just telling you, I don't think it's happening. You can speak to the University of Washington fans. How you look at a price, you say I'm going to Washington playing Michigan.
So if your tickets are like $1,000 and then all of a sudden next year like $1,100 and nobody told you about it and nobody told you why, it's like, why is this like $100 more a ticket?
Cleveland, you can easily look and see, and I'll just use the University of Washington as an example. You can easily look and see that they did some construction on the building. They have a brand new parking lot down there. Now the parking lot is paved. Now they have a big new LED screen.
Why would you assume that's how the money was being allocated? And why would you assume that that's what the increase in ticket sales was for?
What do you mean? Why would you? Cleveland, you see the tickets go from $750 per ticket to $850 per ticket. You don't think
you're rational because we needed a new sign or we needed a new construction over here or there. Well,
what do you think that money's going to?
They're just circumventing all that and saying it's for players. We need to pay players.
Okay, so no construction is getting done then. So they're not no revamping of the water pipes, no new bathrooms, no new TVs,
maybe that's where part of the money
no concession stands. None of that's happening.
What the University of Tennessee said is that the increase in ticket sales is going to NIL money, straight up.
Okay. I mean, I just don't think it. I don't think it needs to be said. I don't think that needs to be mentioned. And your example of it. You're going to the game. You have a budget. You're going to the football game. You have a budget of $1,000. If that ticket is over $1,000, you're not going. But if it's within that range, you're going to pay it. You don't care where the money's going. You're going to the game. Period. So, do you think your guy, primetime Neon Deion, is ruining his players' opportunity for winning a Heisman by now flapping his gums and saying that the players, there was no talk, college players don't get criticized? Is he ruining Shedeur Sanders? Let's just say, let's assume they have a better than 4-8 record, which they finished with last season. Let's say they go 8-4. And your guy number 12. Why am I having a brain fart of your guy number 12?
Trevor Hunter.
Huh?
Let's call him Mr. Hunter.
Oh, Mr. Hunter. So Mr. Hunter plays a full season going both ways. Is Deion Sanders ruining his opportunity for winning a Heisman by chastising the media? He's going back and forth with the media every week. The media, the same media who votes for the Heisman, by the way.
No.
You don't think so?
No.
So if they go 8-4, he's going to win the Heisman anyway. Shedeur or Trevor Hunter
I can't say that for sure because the season hasn't played out, and there are other great players that are playing all over the country. So hard to say.
Oh, because there is a Archie Manning out there balling out.
It's Arch.
You know what I'm talking about. Cut
Yeah,
it out.
you keep calling him Archie. It's Arch.
Okay, Arch. So there is an Arch. So you're aware Arch Manning out there balling out.
Yeah, and maybe he gets one or two more games to do so. So he's not in a Heisman consideration. He's not part of the conversation.
Oh well, you don't want to make him part of this conversation, but he's going to be playing more than just a couple more games. Just so you're aware of, you and other people. So you don't think Deion Sanders is chastising media, is ruining these players' opportunity?
No,
that's surprising. Why don't you say? Why you say no?
Because it's about performance. Ultimately, it's not about how they feel about a particular coach's persona or how they handle the media. Now, if the players doing that, and the players like
really?
The media,
so you're saying the media doesn't take things personally? Is that what you're saying?
Not towards the players when their grievances with the coach. No, I don't think that they do that.
Coco Gauff and her manager part ways.
Or coach.
What I say? Coach, manager, same thing. Coco Gauff and the coach part ways. Do we see a resurgence from Coco Gauff once they get an effective coach in there?
Not sure. Don't know who our next coach is going to be.
Can a coach make a difference, Cleveland? You don't like coaching in the NFL. You don't like coaching in basketball. Can a coach make a difference for a tennis player?
For sure. She had not won a Grand Slam before having Brad Gilbert as her coach. We'll see if she wins one without him.
Don't sound like you have much confidence in her winning one without him.
I don't think it was necessarily the coach's fault, especially considering what I saw from her in her last match. It was her serve. Blame the coach for double faulting 7 times in the second set. I mean, that's not coaching. And she has a propensity, unlike most of the players. It's very odd to see, Cameron, considering that I kind of grew up in a time playing tennis where there was no coaching, and so all of the adjustments were made on your, by yourself on your own. To all of a sudden, these players like lean on their coaches like after every single point. And she was one of those players that, like, when she's not doing well, she leans on her box like every point. And then
she had a couple outbursts this year.
And then when she's doing okay, then she doesn't need them. And then when they're saying stuff that she doesn't want to hear, then she asks them to leave. So it's like, okay, well, if you're going to be all temperamental about how you're getting coached or when you're getting coached or why you're getting coached, and then, you don't perform the way that you're supposed to, someone's got to be the scapegoat. If you want to point the finger at the coach, point the finger at the coach. Get somebody that's going to motivate you and show you how to do things better. But if you don't, then it all comes back to you.
So to your point, with she's a professional tennis player. She's been playing for multiple years, right? Probably a dozen years at least, right?
No,
to get to.
Come on, man.
What is it?
It's like 21 years old. She's like playing like 5 years.
She hasn't been playing. She hasn't been playing through her teenage years. Not professional for 12 years. I wasn't meaning that, but she's been playing the sport for at least 12 years.
Yeah, for sure.
So she should know kind of by now, kind of ins out of the game, like what it takes to, how she need to step up her game or whatever.
Being a good player and being a Grand Slam champion is vastly different.
Well, okay, no, hear what I'm saying. Hear what I'm saying. She should have an idea to make it what adjustments work for her. She's won a Grand Slam, hasn't she?
Just one.
But she has a Grand Slam on the wall, right?
Yes.
So she should have an understanding, with or without the coach, of kind of what it took to get that and what adjustments maybe needed to be made. Obviously, I'm not saying she has every answer, but she should know generally kind of maybe this will work, maybe that'll work much better than you or I, right? So what I'm saying is some of those adjustments she should be able to absorb those adjustments on her own, shouldn't she? Regardless of what coach comes in there. Like, she's gonna have to rely on her own judgment, right?
I mean, that's a valid point, but I mean, to this point, she hasn't been able to do that. That's been the problem.
Okay, but then you earlier in the season you called her a one-hit wonder, didn't you? You was questioning whether she was a one-hit wonder.
I said Sloane Stevens was a
Oh,
one
Sloan Steven. Okay,
because
fair
she
enough.
won the U.S. Open and has not
Fair enough.
advanced past the fourth round since then.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, the fans want to know these answers, Mister Tennis,
For sure. That's why I'm here.
Mister Tennis. And so another answer: have you played pickleball?
Yes.
How different is tennis than pickleball?
Incredibly different. It's with a wiffle ball and a little wooden, not a mallet, but like
The battle.
paddle. Yeah. Sports, yeah.
Oh my goodness, Cleveland just shit on every pickleball player in America. Every he just shit on every pickleball
One.
player in America. Wow.
Yeah.
Man, I need my laugh track, man. He just shit on all y'all. Any pickleball players in here? I didn't say that. I asked a question. I just asked a simple question, and Cleveland shit on every one of y'all. That's funny. Um, Caleb Plant beat Edgar Berlanga this weekend. Did you see the highlights? Did you rewatch the fight on Sunday night? You and the wifey?
I thought it was Canelo. No?
I'm sorry. Canelo beat Edgar Berlanga. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, I didn't see it, but that was kind of the conclusion that I thought it was was going to be.
To be honest with you, I didn't watch it myself. This is the fight I want to see because a lot of people are praising Edgar Berlanga for taking Canelo to the distance. A lot of people are saying that they got a lot of respect for Edgar Berlanga for not taking a big paycheck, actually pushing them to the limit. So this is the fight I actually do want to see. I have to rewatch it, fans. I'm on location, fans. Been a difficult few weeks for me. Okay. My back is hurting, my feet are hurting. I'm not able to stretch out on my king size bed that I'm missing. I don't have my TV in front of me, fans. It's a little difficult to turn things on and enjoy sports when you're not in your home location, Cleveland. Can you respect what I'm saying?
For sure. You're not in your same location, you're not in your spot, you're
Not my elements, man. It's a little difficult.
have your settings just like you like them.
And
Brown style, yeah.
Cleveland, and let me add this too. Central Time might be better than the Pacific Standard Time.
That's where you just
The
gone.
Central Time might be better than the Pacific Standard Time, Cleveland.
Not too far, Cameron.
Cleveland.
We just gone too far.
I used to love waking up. Rolling out of bed at 9:30, and football's coming on at 15. By the time I go, in the bathroom, shit, shower, shave, football's on. All right, but when football comes on at noon, Cleveland, the day starts at noon. I have time to move around. I have time to get some things done. I have time to check the email, cook breakfast, get the kitchen cleaned up. I have time to do these things before football starts. Now, the football will run into 10:30, 11. Yes, it does. But essentially, Cleveland, you're not doing anything once the game goes off anyway. You may get a little QT in. You may, close the door, turn off the lights, put on some music with the lady. You might do that. I mean, I got time for that. But I'm saying essentially the night's over once the game goes off anyway. You're not putting it in the movie. You're not, watching reruns. Your night is done. Am I wrong or right?
Well, Cameron, that's because it's like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night.
That's what I'm saying. My point exactly.
So if Sunday night goes off at 8 o'clock, well, yeah, there's still time to watch a movie. If it's midnight,
you're not putting in the movie.
10,
Central Standard Time is 2 hours ahead. When the game goes off at 8 o'clock, it's 10 o'clock.
What you're missing is that for the West Coast games, that's really, really late when they start.
The The
You
game
watch,
started.
watch
The game starting at 5:30 at 5:20.
Lakers come on at 9:30. You're committing to midnight to get through to that.
To what now? What game was that?
The Lakers.
Yeah, that's 9:30. That's better. It's better than 10:30.
If you're watching the Trojans, if
But
you're
it's
watching
9:30.
the
Well, nobody's
9:30.
watching the Trojans anymore.
Oh, for real? Because they're the number 11 team in the country right now. Were you aware?
Nobody's watching the Trojans.
You haven't been back in a while, huh?
Nobody's watching the Trojans.
Number one pick in the draft came from there.
Nobody's watching the Trojans.
Okay.
Cleveland. That is, you're talking about NBA. That is 9:30 is a later start. I will grant you that. Yes.
Oh, well, thanks.
I will grant you that. However, that beats a 5:20 start Monday Night Football at 5:20.
Love it.
Like the sun is still out.
It won't be for long because we're already going to be in fall in 2 days. Clock's running backwards. Let's get the days.
You have another 3 weeks before the spring forward, fall back. You got another 3 weeks before that. Come on, like
we'll just add to how much quicker it gets darker. Yeah,
the game's starting at 5:20.
West Coast is the best place to be for watching sports entertainment, man.
I kind of like the Central Standard Time, man.
Maybe you just got accustomed to it because you had to, Cam. Yeah, maybe you forgot about all the amenities and luxuries of being able to watch West Coast sports.
Again, a 5 o'clock start for Monday Night Football is extremely early. I don't know how you don't see that. Some of you guys ain't even home from work.
5:15. It's when the game starts.
Some of you guys ain't even home from work. You're watching it on your phone. Like, I done cook dinner. I cook dinner, wash dishes. I am waiting on the game.
I have watched sports in every time zone, and by far the most annoying is the East Coast.
The East Coast, I grant you that. I'm saying, I'm not on the East Coast. I'm saying Central.
It's Central.
The Central.
Only an hour difference.
That hour makes a difference, though. That hour makes a difference.
It starts at 7:15, 7:30. It's going till 10:30.
That's good. That's perfect.
Adverse. Adverse. 8:30 anyway. And the game's over.
8:30, like.
And again, mind you, that's only if you're watching like a game that's like national for everybody. If you're watching a West Coast game, oh my goodness.
I mean, you have to stay up for the NBA. Like I did that all through the 90s.
You have to stay up for any sport that's starting on the West Coast. The Mariners start at what, 7:10?
Nobody's watching the Mariners, Cleveland.
Or I'm sorry, the Los Angeles Chargers.
Thank you. Yes, you have to stay up to what. But if you stay up, you're interested in Shohei. People make sacrifices across the world. People make sacrifices across the world for Shohei, Cleveland.
9 o'clock. I would rather start watching the game at 7 o'clock.
You
already told me all your horror stories about staying up to the wee hours of the night watching the Sonics when you was in Virginia and DC and all that.
Yeah. No, that I agree with you there. We're not talking about Eastern Standard Time. I'm not agreeing with.
It would only be an hour different if you were talking about Central Standard.
That's a big hour. That hour makes a difference. That's what you're missing. That hour makes a difference. Because at 10:30, like you're not 10:30. The night is done, but you finish the evening. You know what I'm saying? Again, you stay up a little later because you got your girl coming over. There's time for that. There's always time for that anyway. But there's now 11:30. Okay, whatever. But when it's the game come on at 5:30, at 5:30 you've missed part of the game. Too early for me. Okay. That's my opinion. And so, speaking of Mr. Shohei, Cleveland, Mr. soon-to-be 50-50, Cleveland, I want you now to tell me how Mr. 50-50 isn't the best baseball player ever to play to put on stirrups?
Because I've seen Barry Bonds play.
How many? I'm just curiosity. I'm not even looking at no numbers or anything. How many strikeouts did Barry Bonds have in his career? Where he struck not at bat and whiffed, where he struck somebody out. How many does he have?
He has 0
Oh,
pitching appearances.
oh, okay. So the guy who's gonna hit 50 home runs and steal 50 bases and has and competes for the Cy Young Award is not the best player ever to play?
Well, he doesn't compete for the Cy Young Award. I mean,
What do you mean?
that's going way out there on the limb.
He hasn't competed for the Cy Young Award, is what you're saying?
He's a pretty good pitcher when he's out there, when he's healthy, but he's actually blown his elbow out 2 times.
Oh, now you're trying to call him injury prone?
When it comes to pitching, yes.
Oh, so maybe he should use some flaxseed oil. Maybe he should put some flaxseed oil on his elbow and see how that holds up, huh?
I mean, that's up to him. I can't speak for Shohei. And does Shohei have someone speaking for him nowadays? I know the way he was under the bus. I had nobody speaking for him.
I like how you keep taking shots at the greatest player ever. You know, that was adjudicated, and he was found innocent, and had no wrongdoing. That was found. He was innocent of all charges. But I don't know why you keep bringing that up. You want to explain to the fans why you feel you need to keep bringing this situation up?
Cameron, you know why? Because no one's going to go into your bank account and steal millions of dollars without you knowing.
I mean, if I got $750 million,
didn't have
I mean, I could probably lose a couple mil somewhere here and there and not really pay attention. I got so many different accounts and money moving all over the place.
Yeah. When you lose $14.58, you calling somebody. I already know how you do. So yeah,
that's that. You 100% on that.
So
but again, that's $14 is not 14 million.
Look, man, dude went in there making bets on everybody's behalf, but he's the one that took the fall for it, and he's willing to do that. That's fine.
Cleveland, talk to me about what's going down in Metro League Stadium.
Let's see if we can get a score here real quick, Cam.
The Mariners have they moved ahead of their 500 pace at 540. I think last I did this was yesterday. They're 7-3 over their last 10 games, better than 4-6 when we last had this discussion. They're 4 games back, but what are the Mariners doing right now? Talk to us. Give us a Mariners minute.
Tied against the Yankees right now, 1-1 in the 9th inning. If they win this game, they will be 3 games out in. They'll be 4 games out in the American League West, and they will be 2 games out in the wild card. They've actually made up quite a bit of ground in the wild card standings since you started talking trash about them. I've been kind of surprised myself, to be perfectly honest with you.
Oh, so you've been surprised at what's going on. Look, the Baltimore Orioles 2-8 at the last 10. They're stinking it out right now. Everybody 4-6, 5-5. Cleveland Indians is the only last team is 7-3. They're playing the best. They're the hottest team in the league right now, or in the American League. Do you believe in the Kansas City Royals?
They have pretty good hitting. Bobby Witt Jr. is no joke. So, they're, I don't want to say a force to be reckoned with, but that's not a team you want to face necessarily.
So are the Mariners going to make the playoffs? Cut to the chase.
I don't think so. I mean, I cross my fingers that they do great and, some fortuitous things happen, but I think they dug themselves a little bit too deep of a hole. Maybe they made that move to Dan Wilson and Edgar Martinez a little bit too late. The pitching, again, has not let them down. Yesterday was a little bit of an anomaly. Brian Wu got roughed up against the Yankees, but got roughed up against Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. Lots of people get roughed up by those guys, so not going to, beat him up too much about that. But the rest of the pitching has just been stellar all year. So everybody give themselves a chance.
I asked you earlier about Robles trying to steal from, um, trying to steal home. You sound like you agree with his logic. Just try to make something happen. Take a chance. Fans, we're keeping an eye on the Mariners. I written them off a few weeks ago when they were fell below 500, but here they are 2 weeks later, and they're a few games over 500 now. Again, that's mediocrity. That's the type of stuff that Cleveland likes, especially when you think about what the Steelers have done. Just when he'd give the manager a game ball for or a nice used game jersey for getting the Mariners over 500 this season. He'd be happy with that. Where not going to the playoffs, not giving your chance to not giving yourself a chance to win championships is what I would be most concerned with. But some people accept mediocrity, so Cleveland would be happy with the mediocrity for whatever reason. But that's why we call it. The name of the stadium is Metro League Field now. That looks over Lake Union or the Puget Sound. Cleveland corrected me on. Um, you know, Again, depending on how many games left, I might be drugged down to the stadium to go in there. Um, and again, I probably spend most of my time up on the upper level, just looking at the sights and the sounds and around Puget Sound because that talent on the field is worthless. Nonetheless, Cleveland. Nonetheless, your hat, the colors of your hat don't mean anything. The colors in your hat don't mean anything, big dog. Nonetheless, fans, I want to thank you guys for tuning into the Voice of the Fans podcast. Give Cleveland a round of applause for being a part of the show. Give yourself a round of applause for tuning in today. Um, we had a lot to talk about, Cleveland. What's the poll question you want to throw out there this week? Um, does the coach deserve more credit than the players? That was one discussion we had. Um, should the Mariners get credit for making it above 500 end of the season with the plus 500 record? What's a poll question you want to throw out, Cleveland?
The poll question I want to throw out is how many games will Tua Tagovailoa play this season?
Why you even want to bring that up, man? Like we was having a good show. We got over the hump.
It's integral to whether the Miami Dolphins make the playoffs or not.
I've already told the fans. I told you and the fans the Miami Dolphins will not make the playoffs. I told you that with a healthy Tua Tagovailoa. So what do you think is going? Again, Mike McDaniel's on a hot seat. If he turns Skylar Thompson, if he turns
Okay, here's a question. Which one of these coaches is on the hot seat? Is it Peterson in Jacksonville? Is it Dable in New York?
Oh, absolutely, Dable in New York. Absolutely. Is it your guy in Philly, Sirianni in Philly?
Sirianni in Philly?
Ooh.
Or is it McDaniel in Miami without his starting quarterback? And mind you, fans, all those other teams have their starting quarterback intact.
See, you're missing the whole logic of it.
Cam doesn't understand that when you lose your starting quarterback, you get a pass. You don't get the full brunt of all of the blame.
But this was predictable. You knew your quarterback. Only one of his 4 years has he played a full season.
Had a full season last year, and they made the playoffs.
That was 1 year. 1 year of his 4 years.
There's no reason to believe he wouldn't continue the rest of his career playing full seasons.
Oh, just ignore the concussions he's had in the past. Just ignore the track record of injuries he had in the past.
They had rectified that and gotten past that.
Well, we see how quickly things change. Okay, if he's not able to get some decent play out of these backup quarterbacks, he's on a hot seat. We see what's going on with O'Connell. You don't want to give O'Connell no credit. We see what's going on with
the playoffs last year. Did they fire him for not being able to?
He lost his number one quarterback.
Exactly.
He goes
just
into
like
the
McDaniel,
he goes into
just
the
like
barnyard. He
and then
goes
he
into the
went,
barnyard
and
and
then he
pulls
went into
something
the
out.
lab, and then he went into the lab and came out with nothing, which is why they drafted J.J. McCarthy.
But he took what he had. He went in the
He took
barnyard
what
and
he
grabbed one of
had
those
and
players.
he made it into nothing, which is why they went out and drafted J.J. McCarthy.
Okay, so what is Kubiak doing down there with reviving Derek Carr's career? Who you would have said Derek Carr is over with. You would have gave the New
Sure.
Orleans Saints. You would have gave New Orleans Saints zero chance of going 2-0 before the season started.
Zero.
So now that Kubiak is down there working his magic, you're not willing to give Kubiak any credit?
He's doing a
These are
great
two.
job.
These are
He's doing a great job. He's been able to disguise some things. And again,
disguise
one
some
of those
things.
wins, one of those wins,
Disguise some things.
one of those wins was against the Carolina Panthers.
Oh my goodness! So everybody who Carolina should go 0 for them this season.
You got to.
No! You said Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton is going to have look better than Bryce Young.
He will look better than Bryce Young. Will they win a game? I mean, they should win a game. I mean, very rarely do teams just go 0 for the entire season.
Well, they do play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They do play them guys a couple times, right?
Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 2-0 right now, and beat your Lions. Sure did. Slapped them all upside their head.
Oh! So you believe in Baker Mayfield?
I didn't say that.
I mean, he's a quarterback down there. Why'd you praise Baker Mayfield?
You said that the Carolina Panthers play Tampa Bay twice a year. Like, okay, well, there's a chance to win a game, but I'm like, oh no, Tampa Bay went up and slapped your Detroit Lions all across their face.
Fans, which coach is on the hot seat? That's what we're gonna go with. What coach is
on the hot seat?
What coach is on the hot seat? We want
Sirianni, Dable, Peterson, or McDaniel.
We want to hear from you. Hit us up at _voice of the fans on Twitter, X, at _voice of the fans on X. Cleveland, how can they find you?
At Clevie Wonder on Twitter and Cleavon Still on Instagram and Clevie Wonder on TikTok.
Again, hit us up at _voice of the fans if you want to participate in the poll question this week. You can always find me there, respond to everything. Fans, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to the Voice of the Fans podcast. As always, we have our numbers game at the beginning of the show, hit you with some education in the middle of the show with our This Week in History, and we end our quote, we end the show with the quote. The quote this week is from the late Gregory Buford. And one of his quotes, I heard this, you've heard variations of the quote through your life, I'm sure, but I first heard it from him down at Rainier Playfield. Perfect practice prevents piss poor performance. I hope there's some perfect practicing going on down there in South Florida, because my man, Mr. Groggy, I mean, all this stuff looks cute when you have quarterbacks, throwing for the most yards in the NFL. But when you don't have that guy that some people are counting on to be that dude, you're going to have to, coach somebody up. You're going to have to coach somebody up. So whether it's Skylar Thompson, who showed on Thursday night he had no confidence in, or Huntley, who how can you have confidence bringing him in, from off the practice squad of another team? I don't know, but he needs to get him coached up. And he had, several days, a full week to get it done. And we're going to see on Sunday how they look, albeit against this young Seattle team. I mean, they shouldn't be worried about these guys. It's a young team. These guys haven't made a name for themselves. Don't let them make a name against you, Mike McDonald. Let's see what you got. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Voice of the Fans podcast once again. Again, you can reach me if you want to be a part of the show at _voice of the fans. That's at _voice of the fans. And as always, fan, thank you for making our voice your choice.